Good afternoon. This is the Health, Hospitals, and Social Services Committee. Both Chair Gilmore and Vice Chair Hastings are unavailable, and so we're going to proceed with a quorum of 4. My name is Nancy Van Rees, and evidently I am third in line. So if we want to put that in the charter, that's good to go. We'll start with Resolution RS 2018-1170 from Bircher and Gilmore. It approves Amendments 1 and 2 to a Tennessee Co-op Agreement to Benefit Homeless Individuals Grant, which is a jointly funded program from the Tennessee Department of Mental Health and Substance Abuse Services to the Metro Social Services Commission to enhance or develop the infrastructure of Tennessee in the treatment service systems for the population.
Motion.
Second.
Is there discussion or anybody from social services here to explain this?
Sure.
Sure. I'm Abigail Dowell from Metro Homelessness Commission, and we've been overseeing this contract and this grant with Department of Mental Health and Substance Abuse Services. So it's been in our community for a little over 3 years now, and working to assist individuals who are chronically homeless, homeless veterans, as they move from the street into housing with supportive services primarily, but it also helps with housing navigation to help those folks find the housing in the first place. Those are the main components.
Is there any discussion regarding this? All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone against? All right. I will pass this back over to our most present esteemed chair.
Too kind.
I'm sorry, I'm a little slow.
Oh, no, you're good. Thank you.
All right.
I appreciate it.
Yep. Here you go.
Thank you. I appreciate it so much. So this is Resolution 2018-1171, sponsors Gilmore and Allen. It authorizes the continuation of the vehicle inspection and maintenance program for motor vehicles registered in Davidson County, originally implemented to attain and maintain compliance with national ambient air quality standards. We have a motion.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and properly seconded. We have Mr. Sharp here with us, and also I see
Madam Chairman, we have Dr. Ariola, the Deputy Director of the Department, Hugh Atkins, who's the Environmental Health Bureau Director, John Finke, who's our Air Pollution Control Director, and Louis Lewis, who is head of the Vehicle Emissions Program.
Okay.
And may I?
Yes, of course, please.
So this came about, the state passed a law that made it illegal to have a vehicle emissions inspection program anywhere. And it carved out an exemption for, it's applicable only in Davidson County, that if the chief legislative body approved within 30 days of it becoming law to keep it, then Davidson County could keep it. But the real decision you're making here is whether you want to say, we're going to let the state take this program away from us and not even know what the implications are. Because we don't know at this point. The other 4 counties do not know what's going to happen to them when it gets to the EPA. Or we can say, we have contracts in place for 4 more years. We're going to have the program for 4 more years. If we pass this resolution, we'll have 4 years worth of data to look at so that we know when the time comes, when these contracts expire, we'll be able to say, now we know what the implications look like if we do away with it. Plus, it will be this body and not the legislature deciding whether Davidson County keeps this program or not. So passing this resolution says, we're going to do what we were already going to do for the next 4 years. And in the meantime, we're going to learn what the implications of doing away with this program would be, and then we can make an informed, rational decision about whether to go forward with the program or not. That's what it does.
There was, I'm sorry, may I?
Yes, you may.
There was some discussion in Budget and Finance concerning hardship.
Yes.
And could you speak to the plans in regard to that?
So we have not heretofore had a hardship waiver. The state has an allowance for hardship waiver. Tell me if I mistake this. Our hope is that we can pull off of their hardship availability and be able to issue a hardship waiver for somebody for a year if they show us that they have attempted to fix a car. And I don't know exactly what the details look like. I'm not sure we know at this point what that's going to require. But they'll have a year to get the car fixed.
Can you explain that?
And also just state your name, please.
My name is John Finke. I'm the program manager for air pollution control.
When the vehicle emissions programs were set up in Middle Tennessee, the state did include a waiver program at a rate of approximately 5% for the surrounding counties. They assumed 0% in Davidson County because we did not have a waiver program in our regulations. Right now, they are using less than 1% of that 5%. Because it's all part of Middle Tennessee, which is how EPA views us as one metropolitan statistical area. It's our hope that we can work, TDEC is on board, we can go to EPA and kind of draw from that pool until we have time to change our regulations. The Metro Council passed a new contract last year for vehicle inspection. That's what carries through 2022. TDEC is in the process of, as a result of this, having to do the full study that's required of making this request of EPA to roll back their program. So as part of that demonstration, we will be incorporating items into our regulations that you approved in that contract, things that make the program more user-friendly, the remote sensing, the unmanned kiosks where people can drive up and test their own cars. We intend to include the waiver program in our own local regulations at that time, but it's our hope that we can work with TDEC and EPA until that time to draw from that pool they have in Middle Tennessee that they're not using.
So what if they don't approve it?
Yeah, what action do we take to?
Then we would move forward with the waiver program as we change our regulations over the next year.
Just take long.
So, but we would be responsible for that, and I guess it would be a loss, or is it money, is it a voucher? How does that work? That's the piece I'm trying to understand.
How does the voucher work? I mean, what would you have to do to do it? The state has been doing it for a while.
The state's had it for a while. They actually have two programs. One is a hardship waiver where the citizen shows through some forms, and there is some effort involved. They have to fill out some forms and show what their financial situation is, and they can get a 1-year waiver to get their car registered while they try and get the repairs done. The other is based on an effort level, that if you can show that you've gone to your mechanic, that you've spent X number of dollars and the problem is still not resolved, then you can get a waiver for that as well and get another year to address the situation.
Okay. Yes. Okay, so what we're going to do is we'll take, and then I saw, did you stick your hand up?
No.
Okay, so then Councilman Pulley, and then Councilmember Murphy, and then Dr. Ariola, what's on the back, right? Okay, I just want to make sure. Okay, so we'll go in that order.
Okay. With respect to the data you say you're going to require for the next 4 years, what's going to be different about that data than what we already have?
So the state's contract expires in 2019. We will know what the EPA views as necessary to offset the loss of that vehicle emissions testing program in Williamson, Rutherford, Wilson, and Sumner counties. And it may be that, so you'll have an option of, at some point, you'll have a choice to make. You can have vehicle emissions testing, or you can, I'm making this up, but you can close the Nissan plant 2 months a year, or something like that to offset what you're losing by not having vehicle emissions testing. They don't know what that is right now. They are precluded from having this program. And if it's something really onerous, they're just going to have to swallow it. They're going to have to figure out how to make it work. We have the option of keeping this until we know what the offset would be, and then we can make a decision.
And we don't have data that would give us that information now?
We know what the EPA is going to say. This is what you're losing in these 4 counties. And this is what you're going to have to do to make up for it.
All right, I don't have anything further.
All right, thank you.
So I watched this a little bit of the state, because not a whole lot, and it was my understanding that the state passes this legislation, and the EPA can just say or maybe not the EPA, some part of the federal government could just be like, no, y'all can't do that law at all. Is that not accurate?
That is possible.
Okay, that is
It requires
okay.
EPA approval.
Okay.
And so if that is the case, then all this will be moot.
Okay.
But
We're just kind of
it's also
covering
impossible that they will say, you can do this, but you've got to do this, and this to make up for it.
And will
And
y'all
they
be
don't even know what that is.
right? Which is they do what they want, and we do what we want. But that seems very, for me, it's kind of, I think it's a little nerve-wracking to think that we might do away with admissions and then find out that we need to shut down like all of Metro for 2 months to make up for it.
That would be a bummer.
Right? So we definitely, so I guess I'm saying y'all really need to vote for this. But so will y'all keep us up to date over the next 4 years? Kind of give us reports on like, are you able to do that on like how the program's working?
We'll have definitive answers in a year and a half, 2 years. It won't take 4 years.
Okay.
Because TDEC, their contract runs out in summer of 19. They have an option for 1 extra year if they need it to get this process done. So we will know something no later than the summer of 2020. In plenty of time for you to make an informed decision on the future of the program.
I'm a big fan of keeping it. Y'all committee though, go for it.
And we will definitely keep you informed. I wanted to just say it's not the waiver program, but so you know one critical free service that we currently provide for citizens. Okay. Luis and 2 other guys are trained in car mechanics. And so if your car fails, we get that out, but I don't think we get it out enough. You can come to them. They will help you diagnose, and they will work with you and your mechanic to get your car fixed. That's already there. That's free. We have 3 people that can do that. It's not a waiver program, but it's a good service.
That's wonderful. Yeah, we need to promote that more. I think of all the times my car didn't pass that I paid some shady mechanic and I didn't even know.
You know, these guys will help you. They will help you figure out what's wrong with it, and they'll work with you and your mechanic to get it fixed.
If I can, also what might be good is to speak to the Maplewood High School Academy about the Firestone and have the kids figure out what it is and have them fix it. That would be fabulous. I think that they'd be more than happy to kind of work with you guys on that.
So I think it was Councilmember Freeman, and then I'll circle back around and ask my question. It's Councilmember Freeman, and then Hurt, and then I'll circle back around.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. I'm not on the committee, but I wanted to just touch more on that, because as you and I were talking last week, my vehicles are old, right? That's why I'm not a fan of this program. I've got a 22-year-old Land Rover, 200,000 miles. But what is the program you were talking about that we can tell our neighbors that they can go? Is it at the actual testing center?
No, it's at the health department. We've got 3 staff. Luis, you can speak to that.
So it's not at my...
No, it's you. If you call our number 615-340-5657, we have 3 staff. You have to call them, book an appointment.
Right.
They have the same equipment that are at the stations. So they will look at your vehicle, they will have printout of what's wrong, and they're pretty experienced in helping you walk through what's what the problem is.
And Mike, if you go through, Councilman Freeman, if you go through one of the garages and you get a failed test,
Right.
they give you, they're supposed to, and we've talked to them about making sure that they do.
Okay.
They give you a piece of paper and say, you can go to the referee lane. And that's there, it's at the health department, and it's there so that if you go to some shade tree mechanic and he says, oh, that'll be $47,000 to
Right.
fix this, you come over there, and Lewis and them will run it through exactly the same test and say you got a blown fuse, it'll be $3.50.
Because I failed and I didn't know anything about this.
So you should,
drove home and...
if you read the paperwork you get, it should have said, if you have any questions about what the
That's the
codes
problem.
mean, or what you need to do to get it fixed, because that's what they're there for, to keep, to avoid any kind of collusion, for want of a better word, between the vendor of the program and, Cousin Bob, who runs a mechanic shop down the
All
street.
right, excellent. Thank you.
I would, and we spoke earlier about this, I would,
She can go ahead and see if it's related to that.
no, I would like to request the health department to craft in communications appropriate style, a one sheet as to what services are available, what you can do, in a PDF format that all council members can share in their newsletters and with documentation, and even communicating with NES about putting that information in the bill that people get, something of that nature. Because I think that communication seems to be always the thing that we're not doing well enough. And if we didn't know about it, how are people going to know about it? So that would be, I think, extremely helpful to explain not only what remedies are, but what the process is going to be. That you're going to have to go to admissions one way or the other for the next 4 years anyway. Contract's already in place. this is what we're gonna be evaluating, and after that's done, we can then evaluate, and we wanna hear from the community as to whether or not they feel it's appropriate, we continue or not. But now is not the time to make that decision
You can make a rational
until,
decision based on
until we have
actual
the data.
evidence.
And I think that some sort of document that communicates that would be very helpful.
So, does anyone know what motivated them to introduce this bill?
You want to handle that one?
I think we can speak later on that, Council Lady Hurt. I'm happy to explain
I
more
will tell
about
you,
the
it didn't have
legislative
anything to do with
process.
air quality.
You don't want to do it on TV?
I am happy to discuss the legislative process of the state legislature with you anytime, Council Lady Hurt.
I'll be tweeting about it later.
I mean, they put it in place for a reason, and TDEC, it just doesn't make sense.
We'll get to you later,
I
and
guess a
I'll
lot of
catch you up.
stuff's not making sense to me today, huh?
So what I was going to ask too, I guess just to kind of speak more to Councilmember Van Reese's, and I was going to recognize Councilmember Allen, who's also a co-sponsor of this, but she's left. So, you know we're going to get a lot of pushback, right? Because if the other counties are not doing it, the logic is, why would we still do it? Because they're just blowing their pollution back on us. And so I would offer up, I think it needs to be some type of meeting just to explain on the front end, because we've gotten not a lot of emails, but we've already started getting some, and just to kind of explain why we are, as you're saying, measuring data for the next 2 years, and that's, we may have to do some type of offset, and that piece is not, I think that just probably, I think it would save us all a lot of headache.
Well, and what I have in mind for what she asked for is something that you can share when you get these requests. And say,
Right.
here's the situation, this is what we're doing, and this is why.
Yeah, it's just kind of, once people get started on those emails, you know, we could do it, but it'd be nice if it's just, and it doesn't have to be a lot, but just maybe one general meeting just to explain to the public. I mean, because I think on this end, people assume a lot of times about elected officials that we have all this capacity, right? But once people get started and they get on something, it just becomes a lot of emails, and then they ask a lot of follow-up questions, and then they CC 35 other council members, and then they put it up on next door. I mean, and then you find yourself kind of just fighting back. So I think something to be a little bit more proactive on the front end would be helpful, because something that always starts off so simple is never that simple at the end. And once others start hearing this, it's going to be a lot of pushback.
We'll be very happy to do that.
Okay.
And as always, if you're having meetings in the community that you feel like you want us to come and explain these things, we're very happy to do that.
Okay, thank you. And so, Councilmember Allen, I wanted to recognize you, and I kind of just shared briefly with, like, if maybe we could just have one general meeting with the health department, and they just share it, because we had started getting some emails before it got out of control with the other things. I know you're a district council, you have other things to do, and we just don't want to be kind of bogged down with that, because once citizens get something in their mind, which is totally fine, I mean, they get at it, and they're like nipping at your heels about, and I think if you share that, the whole rationale, the whole logic, I think will clear up some things. And so if you just want to speak to that. Or
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure what just got said, but based on everything else I've heard, I just want to say, I mean, the whole big picture of this is that EPA has set these national ambient air quality standards based on, if the air has this much stuff in it, then people start to have bad health consequences. And they've set a line, which they've kind of notched down a couple of times just to make sure, as technology gets better and we can do it, to make sure that we are keeping the air healthy for folks with asthma, with respiratory illnesses. And when those pollutants get above that, then people suffer from that. And that's why they do it. And these guys are in charge of making sure that we stay under that. This particular pollutant that cars emit more than, that vehicles emit more than anything else, is the one of all the standards that we have that we're like within 96% of some of the time. We come close to that one. So all the other ones we're way below. Our air is great, no problem. On this particular one that is emitted primarily from vehicles, it's the one where we're closest to being in trouble. And that's why the EPA looks at us and says, if some other thing begins to create more of that in Davidson County, then you've got to offset it. So it's a health issue. It also has an economic consequence of, you can't have any new industries come until you make these things go away. So if surrounding counties make changes that bump us up through no fault of our own, we've at least got control over what happens here, and that's why I feel like this is an important thing to allow them to continue as we gather the data, to see what's gonna happen as those surrounding counties make a change.
Definitely. And so I think there's no argument there. I'm just trying to give us a little coverage, like going out into the community and share that. And I think that last piece that you really touched upon, that other companies are not able to come if we do not keep under a certain
Good.
standard.
I mean, it's
Right.
a chain of events, but that is a possible consequence. And it's a health issue, and I think it's important for people to understand that. I mean, the very communities that we're worried about this being a cost burden for often are the communities that deal with these health issues, and I think we owe it to them to keep our air clean.
And then I would like to know what the other counties are doing too, right? So if we're part of 4 counties, right? 5, we're the only one doing it. So what are they doing to, if it's a,
They don't know.
okay. So maybe if they could just keep us posted, that would be nice as well, right?
They'll find out at some point.
We want to be
And they may not like it.
congenial with them, but just kind of, I think that'd be important.
They may not like it at all.
So we appreciate you, gentlemen, and if you kind of just want to say your names again, and then the particular areas, and if none of the other council members have any more questions, we'll move on, but if you could just.
Can I have one thing?
Sure.
So the state law says that the chief legislative body has 30 days to say they want to keep the program after the bill becomes law.
Okay.
It passed both houses last week, but it hasn't been signed yet.
That's what I was
So it's
wondering, what's
not-
the effective
It's
date?
not law, it's upon
Upon
becoming law,
signage?
but it hadn't been signed yet.
It's been, when did they get out, Thursday?
Yeah, but then it passed Tuesday. So I checked with the Senate sponsor's office today.
But you're saying it's not a law yet?
After 10 days?
No, Randy McNally hadn't signed it yet. So that means it will have 30 days from whenever it gets signed, which could happen at any time. But I don't think we ought to pass it before it becomes law.
Right.
I mean, we could say that was within 30 days, but I think what they meant was within 30 days afterwards.
So do we need to hold this?
So what I would suggest is that what I would ask is that you take it to the floor and defer it until the next meeting, and that will give us 2 weeks. I talked to the Senate sponsor's office today, and she said it will be signed within a month.
Okay.
So if it's within the next 2 weeks, then we can take it up on the 15th. If it's not done by then we'll have to put it on June 4th, and it should be done by that point, and then we can pass it.
That allows opportunity for a communications opportunity to happen in between now
does.
and then.
An argument here. All right.
So that would be my request.
Okay, Mr. Sharp, so if we could start with you, and you just share again your name and all the different people, because we have more people with us from the health, and I'm just excited about it, but just each person's role. I think we got doctors and inspectors and just kind of go.
I'm Tom Sharp. I'm the policy director at the health department.
Okay,
I'm John Finke. I'm the manager of the Air Pollution Control Program.
okay,
I'm Louis Tua. I'm the director of Vehicle Inspection Program.
okay,
Sami Ariola, I'm the deputy director at the health department.
okay.
I'm Hugh Atkins, I'm Bureau Director for Environmental Health.
Okay. Well, I would like to thank each of you gentlemen for coming out today. We appreciate you, and I appreciate you, Mr. Sharp, as the person that deals with policy in the legislative part of the health department, keeping us abreast. And you do a really good job of that, because you called me 2 weeks ago and kind of talked me through it. And I remember it was the same thing when we adopted the legislation, so I really do appreciate that. So I think we're ready to take a vote.
Yeah, if I can move that we vote on this with a suggestion to defer for one meeting to the body. That's a proper motion.
What, on the floor?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fine.
Mike says no. All right, you want to get your committee approvals done, because if we got to do this 30 days, as soon as the ink is dry up there, we need the committee approvals out of the way.
Yeah, and
So
we'll
with
defer.
that
I mean,
then-
there's no reason why we wouldn't defer it on the floor anyway.
You're
That's what I
named
meant.
as a sponsor, so you can do that.
Okay. So, all for? All right, and seeing none against, it is recommended for approval with a small note of a deferral on the floor, but it is recommended for approval in this body. Thank you so much, gentlemen,
Yes, ma'am.
for coming out today. All right. So we're going to the next one.
5, I did it wrong.
Okay, no worries.
I counted Kathleen.
She's not on this committee.
She's not on the committee.
Okay, we'll get it changed. It's not a
I
problem.
counted 6 for you. She's at the table, so.
Okay, so we're going to the next one. Bills on second reading. Bill number 2018 1159. It amends Title 8 of the Metro Code of Laws to restrict the retail sale of dogs and cats at pet stores. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Okay, it's been moved and properly seconded. All right.
So
Ms.
this
Mar-
legislation I brought, and I've got co-sponsor Mike Freeman here, and I know a number of other council members have signed on to this, which I appreciate. I've fondly referred to this as the hashtag No Puppies for Profit legislation. When speaking to one of my friends with Humane Society about our 18-year-old puppy who was from the Humane Society, she is nearing the end of her life, unfortunately. Might not make it to third reading, unfortunately, but I move on and talking about what is our next step on our family pet, and so. This legislation came to mind. Other municipalities have passed it across the country. I believe Franklin is considering some of this legislation right now. But what this legislation does is it not only clarifies and defines some terms such as what a pet store is, an animal care facility, animal rescue organization. So it does some of that in our code. But most importantly, it's going to disrupt the supply chain of puppy mills. Many of you have heard on the news over the years about puppy mills that basically turn out dogs that sometimes can be inbred or they spread disease rapidly. Sometimes that puppy might come home to your family and spread to another animal or to you. Sometimes these puppy mill puppies that are bought in for-profit pet stores, people are taking out predatory loans for them. And so this legislation is not only about ensuring that the dogs and cats that Nashvillians bring into their home and become part of their family are healthy, and are safe, but also that we're protecting our consumers. So it's kind of a twofold thing where we're taking care of Nashvillians and we're taking care of animals. And in fact, I don't have a study on this, but I would venture a guess that once we are adopting more animals from 501c3s and from nonprofits, then that's going to take a burden off of the taxpayer base because there will be less dogs to be taken care of on the street. Now, you will still be able to go and get your purebred dog or multi-bred dog, a multi-poo or whatever comes to mind when I say that, from a breeder. So you can still buy from a breeder, but you will not be able to buy from a for-profit pet store. And so, Sharon Hurt, you look like you might have a question for me.
Well, I'm just saying.
Hold on 1 second. It's order in here.
She looked perplexed.
Yeah, but we want to keep order. She may be, but let's keep some order here. Are you finished speaking?
I can go on for days, so that's why you should stop me when you got questions.
Okay, so we're going to put a pause there, and we're going to recognize Councilmember Hurt.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Applause.
My perplexion is, if we don't go buy them, then how do they stay in business?
If you don't go buy puppies from puppy mills?
From pet stores.
So pet stores, like, if you're talking about like a pet store that is selling a puppy from a puppy mill, then you're right. They may go out of business because they are enabling what some may consider to animal trafficking. Right now, you can buy, in my district, we have Love at First Sight, which is a 501c3. Across the street from my district is the Humane Shelter. There's also PetSmart, I know, out towards where you live, and they adopt their puppies and cats through a 501c3 organization. So it's a nonprofit. And currently in Nashville, there are no for-profit puppy stores. Thank goodness. So we don't have puppy stores in Nashville currently, and so I'd like to kind of get ahead of that problem where we are not enabling, and we are saying we don't want puppy stores in Nashville.
So there are, I'm sorry.
Yes, you may, Councilmember please.
So there are none now in Davidson County. So when people think pet stores, they're thinking PetSmarts and that kind of thing. That was, explain that again, because I think it needs to be clear.
So PetSmart, they adopt through they have a PetSmart charity. It's I think, what's it called? PetSmart Charities. It's called PetSmart Charity. So they're a 501c3 that they adopt through. Now, if you remember when the Bellevue Mall first opened, I was a small child and I loved to go look at the puppies in the windows, right? Look at that puppy in the window. It was called Past Pets. That was a store that was, I'm assuming, just off memory, it was not through a 501c3. So if there's a store set up where they are not adopting through a charity, then that is what you cannot buy through. So what this legislation also puts in here is, so when I go into Love at First Sight or Past Pets or PetSmart or whatever puppy or kitty store I'm going into, they will have to display on that cage or give you, upon request, the record showing how they acquired that animal. Was it picked up on the street through the Humane Society, or was it bought from a puppy mill? Or if they aren't willing to tell you where that puppy or kitty came from, then I'm not sure that you should be buying it, because you need to know what you're bringing into your house and what that puppy or kitty was exposed to. I have a close friend who right out of college bought a kind of designer poodle, and it came down with parvo shortly thereafter, and they spent a ton of money trying to save that dog. Now again, can I say that's because it came from a puppy mill? No. But at the end of the day, what this is doing is we're ultimately going to be cutting back on the animal cruelty that often happens at puppy mills. And we're going to be benefiting the homeless animals in Nashville, and we're protecting our consumers.
Whenever admittedly, I haven't done a ton of research on this. I'm listening to the arguments. I always wonder about unintended consequences of things like this. So it sounds to me like you're targeting puppy mills. Can you give me an example of a store that sells from puppy mills, like you said?
So we don't have one here in Nashville, but there are some in Knoxville called Petland, and there are some in Franklin called
Perfect Puppy.
Perfect Puppy. And so those are for-profit puppy stores, where, again, you don't know where the puppy's coming from, and most likely they're coming from a puppy mill.
PetSmart is not a for-profit puppy store?
Their adoptions is separate from their for-profit part, and it's the charities, and it's a charity.
Are we not shoving this to the black market here and are not really putting these guys out of business like we want to?
So maybe what we're going to do right here, just pause it. I think those are good questions, and we'll acknowledge a guest, who this guest is. Because he seems like he's got some information, but I see him just kind of whispering answers from the side. So we want to bring you out of the shadows and give you the opportunity. If you could just tell us who you are and everything.
Of course. My name is Eric Swafford. I'm the Tennessee State Director for...
Take a seat.
Oh, thank you. For the Humane Society of the United States.
Okay.
And to touch on what you're saying on PetSmart, the animals, the dogs or cats that come through PetSmart, they're an adoption situation from a 501c3 rescue, that sort of thing. The problem that we see with pet stores that sell dogs, and there's just a few in the state of Tennessee, but as Councilwoman Murphy mentioned, Petland in Knoxville, according to the CDC, the Center for Disease Control, the antibiotic-resistant Campylobacter bacterial infection that sent over 30 people to the hospital was linked directly to pet puppies that came from Petland. There have been reports to the health department of people being infected with bacteria from a facility in Franklin, in Williamson County. What this measure would do is be proactive and set right up front that Metro is not going to have these type of facilities that promote animal cruelty, that endanger the health of citizens, and harm consumers. As working for the Humane Society of the United States, we get complaints almost on a daily basis, literally on a daily basis, from consumers that have been taken advantage of. Either they bought a sick animal, they they didn't get the animal that was advertised, or, and she alluded to predatory lending schemes. There have been reports from all across the country directed at one particular chain of pet stores where literally they're charging 23, 24, 25% interest on these animals. Literally, it's predatory lending, and they've those problems as well. And then consider all those things, plus the fact that there are great facilities like Love at First Sight, Nashville Humane, other 501c3 rescues right here with animals needing homes that will make great pets, great additions to the families. So it eases the tax burden on the citizens in addition to all the other things. And again, this doesn't put anyone in Nashville out of business. It is proactive in making sure that something like this doesn't happen here in Metro.
So like the rescue facilities or like a direct breeder, so like if you still want your purebred collie going to that breeder, you could still do that.
And obviously from the Humane Society of the United States, obviously we would tell people, adopt first. But we understand that there are people that want a specific animal, absolutely. But if you can't go to the facility and see where the animal's raised, that's a red flag. Probably somewhere you want to stay away from.
Okay, so we're going to take 2 questions and then we're going to wrap it up because I just missed another committee
Sounds good.
meeting
All right.
and another one's coming in here. But that's not one's fault. It's just I got to pull in the reins a little bit tighter. Go ahead. Okay, yeah.
I just quickly want, if I could ask Tom,
Yeah,
you
sure.
good with this? Have you looked at this over and you have any concerns?
So who is checking the provenance of the animals is my question. I can tell you that MAC is not really set up to do that.
So right now, this legislation just shows that, just requires, and Mike, correct me if I'm wrong, it requires the documentation.
Who's going to check that documentation?
So if there's a complaint, right now, we only have it set up of if they are not showing the documentation, and if they are selling without that documentation. We don't
someone
have it set
complains-
up of who has to do the background check of the puppy.
So if somebody's going to complain, who they're going to complain to and who's going to go check?
Mike?
It's not established, there's no enforcement provision in the code. My suggestion was that, and we've done this with other new initiatives that penalize behavior, is get it on the books, get some familiarity with it, 3 months, 6 months, and then consider the most appropriate enforcement department at that point.
And that's why there's a fine attached to it
What is
as
that
well.
extra money to the
So what
emissions
we're going to
testing?
do is, I think there's a lot of good questions and discussion though, but we're going to go ahead and take a vote on it. And I appreciate you, Mr. Swafford.
Yes, ma'am. Thank
All
you.
right, I
And
appreciate
he's
you.
available for questions in the hallway.
Okay.
Yes, I am.
Good point. So we're going to go ahead and vote.
Yeah.
All right, how many are for? Okay, not for?
No, I was just, based on what I heard from him, is it not appropriate for us to maybe take a look? Because I just heard some fiscal concerns and some concerns about how we're going to move forward with who is responsible for what.
Okay.
I don't think we've really even addressed any of that. I wonder if it's worth kicking it down the road a meeting or two and taking a harder examination of that before we vote on it.
Okay, so what I think we need to do, we have a motion first,
Okay?
and we'll come back and do it. So we'll take a vote on this, and if we need to, isn't that proper? If you
So
already-
if he's moving to defer, that technically takes precedence.
Okay, so are you moving to defer?
Yes.
Okay,
One meeting.
One meeting?
you're moving to defer one meeting? So, how many are for the, it's been
May I
moved?
ask a question regarding the deferral?
Yes, you can.
Sorry. Has the Budget and Finance Committee seen this?
It was not assigned to Budget and Finance.
I wonder if it should be deferred and re-referred also to them, because if there's a fiscal impact,
Yeah, it would
even
be
in the future,
appropriate, especially if there is some fiscal impact.
to the health department, even if it's nominal or.
I'm not asking for it.
No.
And just to be clear, there is no fiscal impact because there is no enforcement wing. No department is charged with enforcement of this, and I think that was intentional. I'm not speaking for the sponsor,
Right.
but that's my
The only thing is though,
understanding.
somebody's gonna have to do it sooner or later, right?
Eventually, if this body decides to do that, but in a status quo budget, the last thing you're gonna
Yeah.
do with legislation like
Right.
this is add a fiscal note.
I'm just wondering if we're putting something on the books that obviously seems to me will have a fiscal impact down the road. So I hear you suggesting that maybe we advance this and re-examine this 6 months down the road. Is that what I'm hearing?
That's an option.
Okay, so can we,
Okay.
you wanna move it?
You still want to defer? You want to?
You know, I'm just comfortable, is it necessary, is it gonna impact this significantly?
If I may.
Go
1 second,
down
please,
the
Councilman.
road, one meeting?
Now,
So last I checked, we have passed a number of ordinances that have similar enforcement costs, such as
My
road
question was
blighting and
really-
others. And so I'm not sure why we would hold this one back, that is a consumer protection, welfare of animals and things like that. And so I would consider it not, I mean, I'm fine, friendly if you want to move it down and discuss it next meeting and assign this to a department, but I consider it a little unfriendly and I don't think that it's being treated the same way that we've treated other bills to send it to finance when it doesn't necessarily have a fiscal note or any fiscal note.
so
I'm not suggesting we send it to finance.
I feel like I'm
but
losing control of my
I don't
meeting
necessarily
here.
think it's unfriendly to
Councilmember.
Be responsible if that a bill here, so.
Councilmember, work with me
Yes.
here. Work with me. I'm trying to keep it down the, we gotta keep it together. So I think,
I didn't get an answer to my question. Is it
Okay.
gonna really hurt this if we move it down the road for one meeting? What kind of an impact will that make? I don't see that that's a big one.
so is it directed to attorney?
Directed to the sponsor,
Or to
directed
Mr.
to.
So I think you and the sponsor,
Whoever
I
wants
think
to
we
answer.
probably need to hear from either the attorney or Mr. Sharp at this point, right? So we can,
At this point, I don't know that we have any,
There's no literal
there's not
dog
an
in the
enforcement mechanism, so I don't know that we have. I
Who's
would
the
say that
sponsor?
the bright side is that
I'm the
presumably
sponsor.
some of these animals would come from the shelter, and that's a good thing.
Say that again?
I would assume some of these animals would probably come from the shelter. If they're forced to draw off of nonprofit things, and that would be a good thing.
so Councilmember Hurt, and after Councilmember Hurt, I think we need to take a vote.
Okay.
Yes.
My only thing is that when you say pet shop,
About 20
I think it needs to be defined that it's not PetSmart or some of those other reputable,
Mike, can you answer the definition?
in the
that's in
ordinance. Is it in the ordinance?
Yes, so, and pet shop is defined, just keep in mind that this will not put out of business pet shops as you know them. It will simply state that their supply line has to come from either animal rescue care facilities and the like, so that they are not acquiring from puppy mills. With respect to the fiscal note, I would just remind the committee that the lay of the land now, the retail scenario for pet sales in Davidson County, no one is in violation of this because there are no known puppy mill stores. What the council lady is simply trying to establish is, while the getting is good, make that the law of the land. It should have no fiscal impact whatsoever, not only because there's no enforcement agency, there's no one in violation today. Make that the law, and that won't be the case in the future, I think is the sponsor's intent.
Okay,
So
so we have
the
a,
analysis, it's got that.
we have a motion on the floor. So,
I withdraw my motion.
okay, so the motion's been withdrawn. So we're gonna move,
I move to proceed with accepting this
okay,
particular
very good.
legislation.
Okay, good, so we gotta move a second. So how many are for? All right. Thank you. Seeing none against, it is recommended to the full body for approval. Thank you. This concludes our Health and Hospitals meeting. Have a great day.
Thank you, ma'am.
You're welcome.
It's 5:01 PM, Tuesday, May 1st,